Hi, I'm Cindy, and this is the Community Effect Podcast. On this show, we talk about all things teaching and learning, from building authentic relationships to creating a classroom culture where students thrive. We dig into mindset, motivation, engagement, and behavior, because real classroom success isn't just about lesson plans. It's about the community you build. These are conversations for teachers who want more than to just survive. And these are strategies for educators who are ready to take their community to the next level. This is the Community Effect Podcast. Hey there, it's Cindy, and we're back. If you've been here the entire ride, I just want to thank you. You have made it to the final episode 4 of the Mindset series. And I hope these episodes have brought you some clarity, confidence, and maybe even a few mindset shifts that have made your days just a little bit lighter. And if you're just joining us today, welcome. You're jumping into a powerful episode. But if you haven't already, I definitely want to encourage you to go back and catch the first 3 episodes in this Mindset series. They're really powerful. All right, well, let's recap. So far, we've talked about how evaluating your impact grounds you in your work, how using assessment as feedback brings clarity to your teaching, and how small mindset shifts create sustainable, purpose-driven classrooms. Today, we're wrapping up the series with a mindset that is often undervalued and deeply transformational. It's this: I collaborate to increase my impact. Now, if you've ever felt like you're teaching on an island, or like the weight of every lesson plan, behavior challenge, and classroom decision rests solely on your shoulders, this one is for you. Because here's what I believe with my whole heart. Teaching is not meant to be done in isolation. And when we move from solo survival into intentional collaboration, everything changes for us and for our students. And it's backed up by research. Teachers' collaboration has a significant impact on student learning. But this isn't just about sharing resources or planning together. It's about the mindset underneath it. It's about believing in the power of collective consciousness, that when we grow with intention and awareness together, our impact multiplies. And when teachers grow in community, the ripple effect becomes unstoppable. Collaboration opens up new ways of thinking, new strategies, and it improves our practice. It helps us process those really hard moments, and it connects us to our purpose. And honestly, it makes the classroom feel a whole lot less lonely. And no, it doesn't mean that you have to be part of a perfect PLC or team teach every unit. It means letting go of the idea that good teachers do it all on their own. It means seeing strength in collective wisdom, not in individual grind. It's about recognizing that some of our best teaching happens when you're connected to others. And that includes your students too. Collaboration isn't just for adults. It also means co-creating the learning with your students, not just delivering it to them. Now, I know how easy it is to slip into isolation, whether it's packed schedules, different teaching styles, or just the sheer weight of the job. Collaboration can feel like a puzzle piece that never quite fits. And let me say this: I know that there are very real times when it feels so much easier just to close your door and power through. But this mindset reminds us that collaboration isn't an extra. It's a multiplier, and it doesn't slow you down. Quite the opposite. It fuels your momentum. I have been unbelievably fortunate to work alongside some of the most incredible educators in my career. But I want to take you back to one of my favorite teaching memories. So back when I was in my 5th year of teaching, when I was teaching 4th grade in Lake Tahoe, I had the absolute joy of working with an amazing teacher, and her name is Amy Rice. And our brains, they just clicked. We planned together on weekends, not out of obligation, but because it was fun. We had fewer distractions and we felt more creative. We would backwards design units and identify key skills, brainstorm engagement strategies, and figure out how to differentiate instruction so that every student had access. One of my favorite units that we created together was on California missions. Instead of working separately, we decided to combine our classes for part of the unit. During this unit, Amy and I collaborated on every step of the planning. We co-designed the entire unit together. But when it came time to teach, we each led the lessons in our own classrooms, using our own style, pace, and connection with our students. Throughout the unit, Amy and I would get together and we would debrief and reflect on the lessons. We would make adjustments as needed and definitely celebrate what was going really well. It was powerful because we had a shared vision and consistent expectations, but we honored our own individual teaching strengths. The real magic happened at the end of the unit, though. We brought both of our classes together, not just for a celebration, but for a purposeful, culminating experience that helps students solidify their learning and see it through a broader lens. Throughout the unit, students had chosen one California mission to research as a passion project. They followed a specific criteria to guide their work, and then they expanded on their findings based on their own interests. At the end, we intentionally paired students, one from my class and one from Amy's, who had researched different missions. Each student came to that meeting prepared to present their findings. But what made it even more impactful was how we structured the reflection. They used a 2-part graphic organizer where each student filled out one half with the details about their mission. When they met, they physically joined the organizer pages together, completing the center section where they compared and contrasted the 2 missions, identifying the similarities and differences, and discussing the historical significance of each. These were done on huge pieces of poster paper, so it was really cool to watch them put this together. The collaborative pairing helped deepen their understanding, not only of their own mission, but of the other one too. They were learning through each other, not just alongside each other. And once each pair had completed their work and their conversations, students presented their findings with their individual research and their comparisons to the entire 4th grade. It was absolutely beautiful. It was a student-led showcase of learning, connection, and cross-class collaboration. And honestly, it would never have happened without that foundation of intentional co-planning and trust between Amy and myself. It was one of the most engaging, connected learning experiences we've ever created. And it happened because we didn't just divide the workload, we deepened the learning, provided opportunities for student voice and choice, and meaningful collaboration with peers from another class. One of the reasons this project worked so well was because Amy and I were completely aligned in how we built community in our classroom. Our students already knew both of us. They had interacted with each of us during social moments like recess and field trips. And they felt safe and grounded and seen in both spaces. That foundation of trust made it possible for them to step into something that could have felt really risky, collaborating with peers outside of their classroom circles. This wasn't just collaboration for the sake of a project. It was a living example of what happens when you pair collaboration with strong community. It worked because the environment had been intentionally cultivated. And this is exactly what the ACT formula is all about. When authentic relationships and a safe, inclusive climate are in place, students are far more willing to engage, take risks, and grow together. And the same is true for us as teachers. Working with Amy strengthened my collaboration muscle, and it reminded me just how much more purposeful, creative, and impactful my work becomes when I'm in conversations with others. That experience, it stretched my thinking, it amplified my creativity, and it reminded me that collaboration isn't just helpful, it's transformational. And now, I know that not every collaboration is going to look like that, and it absolutely does not have to. Sometimes collaboration is co-planning a single lesson during your prep. Sometimes it's swapping a resource during lunch or decompressing in the hallway after a tough class and asking, hey, can I get your take on this? It might be 10 minutes. It might be one conversation. But every time we share the weight, we expand our capacity. We reconnect to purpose. And we remember that we're not alone in this work. So here's your invitation. Try something small with a colleague that you trust. Pick one moment this week to brainstorm, reflect, or problem solve together, even briefly. You might be surprised by how energizing it feels and how quickly a simple moment of connection can lead to more impactful teaching. And collaboration isn't just about our colleagues. It also shows up in how we work with our students. And that's where we're headed next. There was one year I had a student named Sam. He was brilliant, creative, full of energy, but he often clashed with his peers. Sam had this really bad habit of drum rolling on his desk with his index fingers. He didn't do it to be disruptive or malicious. In fact, later I found out he didn't even know he was doing it. But it distracted everyone around him, including me. And I could see the frustration that was building in his classmates' faces. So one day I pulled Sam aside and I just asked him gently, like, hey, do you know that you do this? Do you know what's happening? And he said no, he didn't know that he was actually drum rolling. So I explained what I had noticed, and I asked him how he felt when his classmates got frustrated with him. And he said it made him really sad. He couldn't figure out why it was they were so upset. So then I asked him, what would be a good way for me to remind you, without calling you out in front of everybody, that you're drummeling on the desk, that you're doing this habit? And so we brainstormed together and we came up with a subtle nonverbal cue. So if I gently touched his shoulder, that would be his quiet signal to check in with himself. We even practiced it together so it would feel natural and it would give him time to recognize and connect to his behavior. And you know what? It worked. That tiny agreement gave him awareness without shame. After a week or two, I didn't even have to use the cue. Just walking by him was enough for him to pause, reflect, and self-regulate. That little moment of collaboration shifted everything because Sam, he felt seen and safe. And because we worked together on a solution, he was able to build stronger relationships with his classmates. Now, I could have looked at his behavior through a completely different lens. I could have written a referral, implemented a behavior chart, or maybe even called home. But that's the power of an impact-focused mindset. You get curious. You ask different questions, and you look at behavior as communication, not necessarily as a disruption. And that's also the power of student collaboration. When kids feel like co-creators in the classroom, they take more ownership. They rise to the moment, and they start showing up differently because they know that their voices matter. Collaboration builds community. It builds trust. Whether it's co-creating norms with students or debriefing with a teammate after school, it creates a space for shared ownership and agency, more calm, consistency, and connection. When you invite collaboration, whether with students or colleagues, you create a culture that says, your voice matters here. We're building this together. It's not always easy. It takes vulnerability to ask for help. It takes trust to share the work. And it takes intention to keep showing up for one another, especially when time is short or emotions are high. But when we do, we model the very thing we want our students to believe, that their voice matters, that learning is social, that community isn't just a concept. It's a choice we make again and again. So here are 3 ways that you can practice this mind frame. Number 1, do a collaboration audit. Take this week and just reflect. You can come back to these questions later if you'd like. Where am I trying to carry everything on my own? And what is it costing me? What's one area that I can invite students into more co-creation? Who in my building helps me feel seen, inspired, or energized? What's one area where I could invite support or partnership? Number 2, make collaboration a weekly habit. Schedule a regular touch point with a colleague, even if it's 10 minutes to talk through a lesson or a challenge. Or you could create a collab circle. Find 2 or 3 trusted colleagues and agree to meet once a month to share wins, challenges, or resources. Keep it casual, but consistent. It becomes a source of inspiration and shared problem solving over time. And number 3, co-create with students. Let them help design things like routines, norms, anchor charts, project rubrics. Watch how their engagement changes when they feel ownership and agency. So here's your challenge this week. Try one act of collaboration, just one. That might mean sending a quick message to a teammate to brainstorm. It might mean co-creating a routine or an anchor chart with your students. Maybe it's just a hallway conversation to share something that didn't go well and ask for feedback. Whatever it is, take that step because collaboration gets easier with practice. And if you want a little help making it part of your routine, I've created a resource called the 20-Minute Co-Planning Sprint. It's a guide to help you jumpstart collaborative planning in a way that feels simple, meaningful, and energized. I included reflection prompts, sprint structures, and ideas for how to get started, whether you've got a full hour or just a quick lunch break. You can grab that in the show notes, along with all the other resources from this series, like the Ride the Waves Reflection Guide, the Real-Time Check-In Tool, or the Quick Assessment Strategy Cheat Sheet. Looking back on this mindset series, I can clearly see how each of these mind frames shaped who I am as an educator. Evaluating my impact helped me stay grounded. Using assessment as feedback made my teaching clearer and more intentional. And collaborating with others reminded me that I never have to do this alone and that my ideas amplify with the voice of others. Together, they've helped to build a mindset that's rooted in reflection, responsiveness, and relationships. And for those times when I have lost my way, because it happens, they've helped me step right back off that edge of burnout and back onto solid ground. And I know that if you lean into these mindsets, they can do the same for you. If this series has sparked something in you, send it to a teammate or your grade level, or maybe even an instructional coach. You might even want to use it as a kickoff point in your next PLC. Let's normalize this kind of collaboration in every corner of our schools. And if you haven't already, come say hi on Instagram at crobin.kids or visit crobinson.coaching.com for more tools to support you in this work. And just in case no one's told you lately, what you're doing matters. It matters a lot. And guess what? You matter. So keep collaborating, keep growing, and keep teaching with intention. You've got this, my friend. I'll see you next time on the Community Effect Podcast. Have a great day.